The anniversary party was Sarah's idea. 20 years of marriage deserved a proper celebration. She'd insisted, and I'd agreed without hesitation. Our backyard was transformed into something magical: string lights draped between trees, tables laden with food, and a jazz quartet playing softly near the pool. Friends and family mingled everywhere, their laughter mixing with the evening breeze. Sarah looked stunning in her emerald dress, the one that brought out the green flecks in her hazel eyes. I watched her from across the lawn, a champagne flute in my hand, feeling grateful. We'd weathered storms together. My job loss 3 years ago, her father's death, the empty nest when our daughter left for college. But we'd survived, stronger than ever, or so I thought. She's a knockout, isn't she? My brother Tom appeared at my elbow, grinning. You're a lucky man, David. Don't I know it? I replied, raising my glass toward Sarah. She caught my eye and blew me a kiss before turning back to her conversation with the Hendersons. The evening progressed beautifully. Speeches were made, toasts offered, and tears shed the happy kind. But somewhere around 9 o'clock, I noticed Sarah's glass never seemed empty. Champagne, then wine, then something stronger. Her laugh grew louder, her movements less coordinated. I made my way toward her, concerned, but she waved me off with a brilliant smile. I'm fine, David. It's our party. Let me enjoy myself. I hesitated, not wanting to seem controlling, not wanting to ruin her night. That hesitation would haunt me. By 10:30, the crowd had thinned. The older guests had departed, leaving mostly our younger friends and some colleagues from Sarah's marketing firm. The music had changed to something with a heavier beat, and someone had broken out tequila shots. I'd been trapped in a conversation with my old college roommate for 20 minutes, catching up on his divorce and new girlfriend, when I finally extricated myself and looked around for Sarah. She was gone. At first, I wasn't worried. She'd probably gone inside to use the bathroom or check on something in the kitchen. I mingled for another 10 minutes, accepting congratulations and handshakes, but a gnawing feeling grew in my stomach. I circulated through the yard, scanning faces, but Sarah's emerald dress was nowhere to be seen. I checked the house kitchen, living room, both bathrooms. Empty. Our bedroom door was closed, and I knocked gently before pushing it open. The room was dark and undisturbed. My heart rate picked up. Back outside, I grabbed Tom's arm. Have you seen Sarah? He shrugged, his eyes slightly unfocused from drinking. Not for a while. Maybe she's showing someone the garden renovations? The garden? Of course. We'd just finished redoing the lower terrace, and Sarah had been proud of it. I headed down the stone steps, relief washing over me. But the garden was empty, just shadows and the sound of the fountain. I returned to the party, my concern escalating to worry. I approached different groups, asking casually if anyone had seen my wife. Most hadn't, but then Jessica from Sarah's office made an offhand comment that stopped me cold. Oh, I saw her heading toward the garage with someone about 20 minutes ago. I figured she was getting more wine from storage. Someone. Not alone. With someone. I forced myself to walk calmly toward the detached garage at the edge of our property, even as my mind raced. There had to be an innocent explanation. Maybe she was showing someone her new car. Maybe they were just talking. Maybe the garage's side door was slightly ajar, light spilling out into the darkness. I heard voices before I reached it, Sarah's unmistakable laugh, breathy and intimate, and a deeper male voice I couldn't quite place. My hand touched the door handle. Every instinct screamed at me to burst in, to see what was happening, but another part of me, the part that feared what I might find, kept me frozen. 20 years of marriage hung in the balance of this moment. I pushed the door open slowly, my heart hammering against my ribs. The garage's fluorescent lights seemed harsh and unforgiving as I stepped inside. For a moment, I couldn't process what I was seeing. Sarah was leaning against my workbench, her dress slightly askew, her hair disheveled. Standing close to her, too close, was Marcus Webb, her colleague and the newest addition to her marketing team. He was young, maybe 30, with the kind of casual confidence that came from good looks and easy charm. They weren't touching. Not exactly, but the air between them was charged with something that made my stomach turn. Sarah's hand rested on his chest, her fingers splayed against his shirt. His hand hovered near her waist, not quite making contact, but suggesting intent. "Sarah," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. They sprang apart like guilty teenagers. Sarah's eyes went wide, her face cycling through shock, fear, and something else I couldn't quite read. Marcus took a step back, his hands raised in a placating gesture. "David." "God, you scared me," Sarah said, her words slightly slurred. She pushed off from the workbench, stumbling slightly. Marcus was just telling me about his ideas for the Peterson campaign. At 11 o'clock at night, in our garage. My voice sounded strange to my own ears, too calm, too controlled. Marcus cleared his throat. "Listen, Dave, it's David." I cut him off, my eyes never leaving Sarah's face. "What's going on here?" "Nothing's going on," Sarah insisted, but her voice lacked conviction. She smoothed down her dress with unsteady hands. "You're being ridiculous." "We were just talking." I repeated the word like it was foreign to me. "Your dress is wrinkled. Your lipstick is smudged. And you're drunk enough that you can barely stand." "I'm not drunk." She protested, but as if to prove me wrong, she swayed and had to grab the workbench for support. Marcus took another step back, reading the room. "Maybe I should go." "Yeah," I said, my jaw tight. "Maybe you should." He moved toward the door, but Sarah reached out, grabbing his arm. "Marcus, wait." "Don't." She stopped, seeming to realize how that looked. Her hand dropped to her side. Marcus glanced between us, clearly uncomfortable. "I'll see you Monday, Sarah. David, congratulations again on your anniversary." The words sounded hollow, almost mocking, though I didn't think he meant them that way. He slipped out the door, leaving us alone in the harsh light. The silence stretched between us like a chasm. Sarah wouldn't meet my eyes, and I couldn't decide if I wanted to scream or cry, or simply walk away from 20 years of marriage without looking back. "How much did you drink tonight?" I asked finally, trying to find solid ground, something concrete to focus on, besides the crushing pain in my chest. "I don't know." "Does it matter?" She wrapped her arms around herself defensively. "I was celebrating." "Is that a crime?" "No, but sneaking off with another man is." "What? A mistake? A lapse in judgment?" I couldn't keep the bitterness out of my voice. "Nothing happened." She insisted, her voice rising. "You're blowing this completely out of proportion." "Am I?" "Because from where I'm standing, I found my wife alone with another man, both of you looking guilty as hell. We were talking, David. That's all. I'm allowed to have conversations with my colleagues, aren't I? Or am I supposed to ask your permission for everything now?" Her defensiveness only made it worse. If she'd been apologetic, if she'd acknowledged how inappropriate it looked, maybe I could have believed her. But this anger turned back on me. It felt like manipulation. "Don't do that," I said quietly. "Don't make this about me being controlling when you know damn well this crossed a line." She looked away, tears suddenly streaming down her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry. I drank too much, and I wasn't thinking clearly, and Marcus was just being nice. And what?" I pressed, needing to know. What was going to happen if I hadn't walked in? Nothing. I swear to you, nothing. But her eyes told a different story. Her eyes held doubt, possibility, the shadow of something she might have done. Or maybe I was seeing what I feared most, rather than what was real. We need to go back inside, I said, my voice hollow. Our guests are still here. David, please. We need to talk about this. Not now. Not here. Not while you're drunk, and we're both. I couldn't finish the sentence. Both what? Angry? Hurt? Watching our marriage crumble? Walking back to the party felt like moving through a nightmare. Sarah stumbled beside me, and I caught her elbow to steady her, the gesture automatic despite everything. The physical contact felt wrong now, tainted by what I'd seen, what I suspected. Smile, I muttered as we approached the remaining guests. We can't let them see. Sarah nodded, wiping at her tears and somehow pulling herself together with an effort that seemed almost superhuman. By the time we reached the patio, she had transformed back into the gracious hostess, her smile brilliant despite the pain behind her eyes. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't pretend everything was fine while my world was falling apart. Tom approached us immediately, his expression concerned. There you are. We were about to send out a search party. Everything okay? Fine, Sarah said quickly, her voice too bright. Just showing David the new garden lighting we installed. It's beautiful at night. The lie came easily to her, and that scared me more than anything. How many other lies had there been? How long had this been going on? David, you look pale, Tom said, studying my face. You feeling all right? I think I might have eaten something that didn't agree with me, I improvised. The truth was, I felt sick, but not from food. Actually, I hate to do this, but I think we need to start wrapping things up. Sarah shot me a look of pure panic, but I ignored it. I couldn't stand here making small talk, pretending to be the happy couple, knowing what I knew. For the next 45 minutes, we orchestrated the party's end. Sarah said goodbye to guests, while I busied myself cleaning up, unable to trust myself to make conversation. People praised the party, congratulated us again, and I smiled and nodded mechanically, counting the minutes until they'd all leave. Jessica from Sarah's office was one of the last to go. She hugged Sarah warmly, then turned to me. Your wife is incredible, David. We're so lucky to have her on the team. She paused, then added with a knowing smile, and Marcus really thinks the world of her. He was just telling me tonight how much he's learned from working with Sarah. The words were innocent enough, but they hit me like a punch to the gut. Sarah's face went white. That's nice of him to say. She stammered. After Jessica left, only Tom and his girlfriend remained, helping with the final cleanup. I tried to wave them off, but Tom was insistent. Nonsense. Many hands make light work. He grabbed a trash bag and started collecting empty bottles. Besides, you look like you need all the help you can get. I caught his eye, and something in my expression must have given me away because his smile faded. He glanced at Sarah, who was gathering plates with exaggerated focus, then back at me. You know what? I just remembered we have an early morning thing tomorrow, he said suddenly. Come on, Jeanne. Let's let these two get some rest. Jeanne protested, but Tom was already guiding her toward the front gate. He squeezed my shoulder as they left. Call me if you need anything. Anytime. Then we were alone, truly alone for the first time all night. The party detritus surrounded us, abandoned glasses, wilting flowers, the remnants of celebration. It felt like a metaphor for our marriage. Sarah stood across the patio from me, hugging herself as she'd done in the garage. She looked small, suddenly vulnerable, and part of me wanted to go to her, to comfort her, to pretend none of this had happened, but I couldn't move. I think I need to know the truth, I said finally. All of it. How long has this been going on with Marcus? There's nothing going on, she insisted, but her voice broke. I swear to you, David, tonight was just, I made a mistake. I drank too much, and he was there, and he made me feel. She stopped abruptly, her hand flying to her mouth. Feel what? I pressed, taking a step toward her. Special? Attractive? Young? Seen? She shouted suddenly, tears streaming down her face again. He made me feel seen. Okay? Is that what you want to hear? The words hung between us, accusatory and painful. I felt like I'd been slapped. What does that mean? I don't see you? After 20 years, I don't see you? That's not what I meant, she said, but there was no conviction in her voice. We moved inside, away from the party's remains and any potential witnesses to our unraveling. Sarah collapsed onto the living room couch while I stood by the window, unable to sit, unable to be still. Explain it to me, I said, staring out at the dark yard. Make me understand how we got here. Sarah was quiet for so long, I thought she might not answer. When she finally spoke, her voice was small and defeated. Do you remember the last time you asked me about my work? She asked. Really asked, not just, how was your day, while scrolling through your phone. I turned to face her, defensive. That's not fair. The Peterson campaign, she interrupted. I've been working on it for 3 months. It's the biggest account our firm has landed in 5 years. I told you about it, but you couldn't tell me anything about it, right? Now, could you? I opened my mouth to argue, then closed it. She was right. I had a vague memory of her mentioning something about Peterson, but the details were fuzzy. That's not the same as what you did tonight, I said. But even to my own ears, it sounded weak. I know, she said miserably. I know it's not. But David, when's the last time you looked at me the way you used to? When's the last time you surprised me with flowers, or planned a date, or made me feel like I was more than just the other person who lives in this house? So this is my fault? The anger flared hot and bright. I haven't been romantic enough, so you thought you'd find someone who would be? No, God, no. That's not what I'm saying. She stood up, swaying slightly, still affected by the alcohol. I'm trying to explain how I felt. I'm not saying it's right or justified, but you asked me to explain, and I'm trying. I forced myself to take a breath, to push past the anger to actually hear her. Okay, I'm listening. She wrapped her arms around herself again, that defensive gesture that was becoming familiar tonight. Marcus started at the firm 6 months ago. He's ambitious, creative, and he listened when I talked. He asked questions about my ideas. He treated me like I was brilliant instead of just capable. Each word was a knife. And I don't do that? When's? The last time you asked about my dreams, David? Not our dreams, not Emily's future, not the mortgage or the retirement plan. My dreams, what I want for myself. I struggled to remember. The silence stretched uncomfortable and damning. I thought we were happy, I said finally. I thought we were doing everything right. We built this life together. The house, our daughter, our friends. I thought that was enough. It was, she said, and I heard the past tense like a death knell. It was enough. But somewhere along the way, we stopped being David and Sarah, the couple who stayed up all night talking about everything and nothing. We became just logistics coordinators. Who's picking up Emily? What's for dinner? Did you pay the electric bill? That's what marriage becomes, I argued. That's real life. You can't stay in the honeymoon phase forever. I know that, she said, frustrated. But there's supposed to be something more than just coexisting, isn't there? I thought about the past few years. If I was honest, truly honest, how often had we connected beyond the surface level? How many times had I been home, but not really? Present, my mind on work problems or scrolling through my phone. When had I last told her she was beautiful without it being a precursor to sex? Tonight, I said slowly, in the garage. If I hadn't walked in, Nothing would have happened, she insisted, but there was uncertainty in her voice. I think I was drunk and feeling sorry for myself, and he was saying all the right things, but I wouldn't have. I don't think I would have. You don't know, I said flatly. That's what you're telling me. You don't know what you would have done. She started crying again, great heaving sobs that shook her whole body. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I love you. I do. I've always loved you. But I felt invisible, and tonight I just wanted to feel like someone saw me. I went to her then, unable to help myself despite everything. I sat beside her on the couch, and she collapsed against me, her tears soaking into my shirt. I held her, mechanically, my arms around her out of habit rather than comfort. What do we do now? She whispered against my chest. That was the question, wasn't it? 20 years of marriage, a daughter in college, a life built together. Did one drunken mistake destroy all of that? But was it just one mistake? Or was it a symptom of something deeper, something rotting at the foundation of what we built? I didn't sleep. After Sarah finally passed out around 3 in the morning, I sat in our living room, staring at our wedding photos on the wall. We looked so young, so certain of our love. I wondered when exactly we'd lost that certainty, when we'd stopped fighting for each other and started just fighting to get through another day. Dawn came slowly, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. It should have been beautiful, but I felt numb to it. I heard Sarah stirring upstairs around 7, the sound of the shower running. I made coffee, going through the motions because I didn't know what else to do. She came downstairs 30 minutes later, pale and hollow-eyed, wrapped in her bathrobe. The emerald dress from last night lay in a heap on our bedroom floor, and I knew neither of us would ever want to see it again. How's your head? I asked, keeping my voice neutral. Terrible, she admitted, pouring herself coffee with shaking hands, but not as bad as my conscience. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table, the same table where we'd had 1,000 meals, discussed report cards and vacation plans, and what color to paint the bathroom. Now it felt like a negotiating table, a battlefield. I need to know if there's been anything else, I said quietly. Any other times, any other men. I need the complete truth, Sarah. All of it. She met my eyes, and I saw genuine pain there. No, I swear to you, no. Last night was the first and only time I've ever come close to crossing that line. But you've thought about it, I said, not really a question. She nodded slowly. Not about cheating specifically, but about what it would be like to feel desirable again. To feel like someone's priority instead of just part of their routine. I absorbed this, trying to understand. Have I really made you feel that unimportant? Not unimportant, she said carefully. Just predictable. We're predictable, David. We haven't surprised each other in years. We're roommates who occasionally have sex. The bluntness of her words stung, but I couldn't deny their truth. When was the last time we'd had a real conversation that didn't revolve around logistics? When had we last laughed together, really laughed, not just polite chuckles? What do you want? I asked. From me, from us, from this marriage? She was quiet for a long time, her hands wrapped around her coffee mug. I want to feel alive again. I want to matter to you beyond just being the person who remembers to buy milk and send birthday cards. I want you to want me, not just need me. And Marcus? I had to know. What about him? I'll request a transfer to a different team, she said immediately. Or I'll find a new job if I have to. I know I can't work with him anymore. It was the right answer, but it didn't erase what had happened. Last night, in the garage, I keep playing it over in my mind. The way you looked at him. The way you touched him. I don't know if I can forget that. I don't expect you to forget, she said, tears welling up again. But David, please. Can you forgive me? Can we try to fix this? Could I? That was the question I'd been wrestling with all night. Part of me wanted to throw her out, to end this before it hurt any more. But another part, the part that remembered 20 years of mostly good moments, the part that still loved her despite everything, that part wanted to fight for us. I don't know, I said honestly. I'm angry and hurt, and I feel betrayed. But I also know I haven't been perfect. I've taken you for granted. I've let us become roommates instead of partners. She reached across the table, her hand trembling. I looked at it for a long moment before taking it in mine. If we do this, I said slowly, if we try to fix this, it has to be all in. Marriage counseling. Real conversations. No more coasting. We either rebuild this or we end it, but I can't keep living in this limbo where we're together, but not really. Yes, she said immediately. Anything. I'll do anything. We sat there in the morning light, holding hands across the table, both of us damaged, but not quite broken. It would take time, months, maybe years, to rebuild trust. There would be hard conversations ahead, tears, probably fights. Marcus's name would come up between us, a ghost we'd have to exorcise together. But as I looked at Sarah, really looked at her, not just seeing the woman who managed our household, but the person I'd fallen in love with 2 decades ago, I realized I wasn't ready to give up. Not yet. Maybe that made me weak or foolish, but it also made me human. We start today, I said. Right now. Tell me something about yourself I don't know. Something you've never told me. She blinked, surprised. What? You said I don't ask about your dreams anymore. So I'm asking. Tell me something real, something that matters to you. A small smile tugged at her lips, the first genuine one I'd seen since before the party. I've been thinking about going back to school, getting my master's degree. I know it seems silly at my age, but it's not silly, I interrupted. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't think you'd care, she said softly. I care, I said, squeezing her hand. I should have shown you that before last night, but I'm showing you now. I care. I want to know everything. We talked for hours that morning, really talked, the way we hadn't in years. It was painful and awkward and necessary. We laid bare our disappointments and frustrations, our fears and hopes. It wasn't a solution. We both knew therapy and real work lay ahead, but it was a start. The party decorations still hung in our backyard, a reminder of the night everything changed. Eventually, we'd take them down together. Eventually, we'd rebuild what we'd nearly lost. But for now, we sat at our kitchen table, holding hands and trying to remember how to see each other again. 20 years of marriage doesn't disappear in one night, but it can be shaken to its foundation. As the sun rose higher and coffee grew cold in our cups, we made the choice to stay, to fight, to try. It wouldn't be easy, and there were no guarantees. But we'd survived worse together, and maybe, just maybe, we could survive this too. The road ahead was uncertain, but we'd walk it together, one honest conversation at a time.